Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Final Show Films. I am Sen, your executive producer here. I want to thank you all for tuning in. I particularly want to thank our $20 tier supporters over at our Patreon page at patreon.com/fsfilms. Those being Drivian Alexander, Samantha Bates, Cat Waterflame, and L, without whom we wouldn't do nearly as much as what we do now. So thank you all very much for your support over the years. And those of you that are watching live, please sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Just to see what happens this time.
Mm-hmm.
And if nothing happens, then that's just another data point.
We're live.
A dinosaur story?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Stardust RPG on Trails of Stardust. I am William Orshani, and I am your game master for this 5th edition sci-fi campaign of my devising. Joining me today, we have Jeremy.
Hi, I'm Jeremy. I am playing Kendall Fairchild, who is a Eladrin warlock. And I should get in Roll20 and D&D Beyond.
And also joining us, we have Sen.
I'm Sen, and I'm playing Koltar, the orc artificer slash gadgeteer. Master maker.
Make me your master.
And Jack.
Define.
Right. Jack the Elder.
Hey, everybody, I'm Jack. I'm playing Till Wayland, an avian Way of the Iron Path monk, and Ellen DeGeneres was an inside job.
And Jack the Second.
Hi, I'm Jack the Second, and I will be playing Surprise, an ethereal sorcerer.
Oh, that's gonna catch me every time for a while. And Craig.
Hi, I'm playing bees, a swarm of nocturne and torch bees that collectively make up a swarm keeper ranger.
Why was that a question?
What do you mean?
The way you said bees sounded like it was a question.
Well, there's
I mean,
punctuation in there.
That's the
figure
proper
sometimes
way
people-
to say bees.
Yeah,
Bees?
sometimes people go bees, and sometimes people go bees.
I was gonna say, haven't you ever played Cards Against Humanity? That's how it's pronounced.
As we found out last session, Bees does prefer an exclamation point. Preferred punctuation.
Our name is Bees, and my punctuation is. That was a visual joke for our podcast listeners. I apologize.
My punctuation was bang bang.
And Holly.
It's fine. I'm not important. Hi, I'm
Beg
Molly.
to differ.
I'm playing Mistel, an Invaran rogue.
Yes, for those that are unaware, the technical specification, the technical name for an exclamation mark is a bang.
Oh,
I definitely heard you say testicle in there.
How did I? That's why.
Okay, good. See, Holly and I are
Y'all are not alone.
The testicle specification for an exclamation mark is a bang.
Testicle specification.
Anyway,
Testicle
As-
specification is my Sex Pistols cover band.
As always, Black Lives Matter, trans rights are human rights, eat the rich, and this stream is powered by Sirenscape.
Is it?
It is, in fact.
Oh, well, then I should get into it, I guess.
Right.
You're missing some smooth jazz.
Yoink.
you like jazz?
Do you like smooth jazz?
This is not as exciting as the 80s slasher music we had yesterday.
Yeah.
The intermittent gunfire, though, I'm here for that.
Also, again, Sirenscape, why do you keep setting my volume level to 100%? I hate you.
So that you can get refreshed by the music every single time.
So I wasn't here last week. What's happening?
Everyone's dead.
Okay.
Great job leading.
Rock spell.
You are currently standing in a very small room with a very large archfey.
So, when last we left our heroes, they had, after some conversation with Kendall's father, departed to head into the city, also pick up their missing craftsman who had been on the ship the entire time. But on Xander's way out, he ran into an ethereal, rather unique individual by the name of Surprise, who happened to stick around long enough to meet the rest of the group. At which point, the entire group of them adjourned to the Adventurers Guild to inquire about potential information and also see about new jobs down the line. After a bit of conversation and hassling of Xander, the group decided on a mission to investigate a fleet of ghost ships that had recently arrived at Absalom Station. Before that, however, before they could depart to go on that journey, the group split into two different groups. One heading to the local university, the Evergreen Conservatory, in order to potentially make use of their information and knowledge and see if they could find any details that might help them or give them more insight into Dystagmos Zatrin and the threat that he and the forces of Sarheim may pose. While Kendall and Till and Xander, who got grabbed at the last second, head back to Kendall's home to speak with her father.
Wait, why are we talking with him?
Because you need money, rich girl.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember that happening either. I thought we
I
were
don't
all going
remember
to the
this at
conservatory.
all.
That did not happen.
No, I remember it.
You absolutely said we're going back to go talk to Daddy because I spent all of my gold buying diamonds.
You left, and then we made a joke about you leaving Xander behind after the whole kerfuffle, and then you
ran back
up
to grab
long enough to
Xander.
grab
I
him back.
remember that, but I
remember
don't
that.
remember, and that was 100% not in weird. I remember that part, but I don't remember the first part, and that's strange.
And, yeah, no, I only remember us
don't-
us all planning to go to the conservatory. I don't remember at all going back home to talk to your dad.
As a
was
reason, you
gonna
split up
meet
in
us
two different
there.
directions. Yeah, she said she was going to meet you at the conservatory after talking to her father first.
That is, I'm so confused, but okay, I'll go with it. I don't disbelieve. I believe you. It's just weird that like
I mean, we could always
It's not
skip
weird
it.
for me.
Yes.
my memory is Swiss fucking cheese, but it's weird that multiple people.
I was on narcotics last week, so I don't remember most of what happened.
And I also have
Did-
Swiss cheese memory.
Which group did Mistel go with?
Everybody else went with the conservatory.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kendall only wanted Xander.
And obviously had to take Till because Till's not letting her go anywhere on her own.
Didn't
feel
have to. I was
like-
going home.
I feel like Mistel would have gone with them though. But again, I was on drugs. I
Fair.
don't remember any of this.
Again, we can also just skip that part. If no one involved in it remembers it happened.
I mean, in complete fairness, I do need money because I did try to buy forgiveness.
Because you haven't been taking any of the money from the adventuring because
No.
you have not been part of the adventuring team.
Correct.
And then spent
That
all of the
wouldn't be
lots
right.
of money that you had to buy diamonds.
Yep. No, I'm down with it.
So we begin there as the vehicle, strictly speaking, right? Yes, because you were taking the vehicle because the conservatory is in town and not hard to reach. Yeah. So as the hover truck pulls back into the grounds of the Fairchild Manor, the group of you, the three of you, which is to say Kendall, Till, and Xander, have arrived.
I mean, if Missile would have come with.
I really feel like she would have come with.
Then Mistel is also there.
I'm
Cool.
sorry. Again, last week I think I was falling
Beauty.
asleep at the end of game.
That's legit.
So yes, Xander, Till, Mistel, and Kendall.
And bees.
Would bees have gone along?
I don't think. I mean, isn't the conservatory like a
It's a university, yeah. Yeah.
As the
Right.
amount of people in each group just shifted
Reverses, yeah.
dramatically in
Like
one direction.
I think
Instantly
what
reversed.
happens. I think what happens is like
That's
everybody's going to the
amazing.
conservatory and they get there and they're like, "Come on, bees, let's get out." And they, "Come on, bees," and they shake bees and it's just an empty suit of armor. All the bees are in the other car.
Oh no! I'm here for it.
I love that.
But the group of you arrive at the manor. That fucking long-limbed Fae and water elemental are still playing the same goddamn board game that they were playing when you came in last night.
I forgot what their names were. So sorry.
One of them was Sadie, I think.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, I think you established that Kendall can't actually pronounce their names, so you just made up other names for them.
This is true, but they would be consistent other names.
Right.
Okay.
Feel like one was Jerry, but I might be making that
Yes,
up.
I believe it was Jerry and
Yes.
Sadie.
That's okay. That works. So yeah. So this should be. I mean, this should actually be pretty simple. I'm just gonna go in. I don't see any big deal. It'll be fine. Y'all can come with, of course. Except you, pointing at Till. I'm kidding. I mean,
Very well.
if you can happily come in with me as I go talk to Dad.
There,
Sure,
He
he
just
won't
gives
have
a
any
very
questions.
sort of sideways smile. And
I'm sure
takes
he
up
won't
his
have
usual
any questions
position.
for you at all.
there
All
are a
right,
bunch
let's
of
go.
trees
Okay.
outside here, right?
Yes, there are many trees.
Can we stay outside?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
Don't
There we
wander
go.
off, bees.
They're gonna go gather nectar.
Yeah,
Makes
and
sense.
Mr. will fly over and land on Kindle's shoulder and go in with her.
Cool. So yeah, head in.
So,
Can I ask for an insight check from Kendall and Mistel?
Oh, to roll one or
to
roll one
for you
on?
guys to roll one,
Oh,
or just
yes.
tell me what your passive
Sure.
insight is. Either way,
9.
9. Okay,
Remember, wisdom is their dump stat.
sure,
Oh my gosh.
great.
Because it is
Okay,
the best
all
dump
good.
stat.
Yeah, no, you're good.
I mean, I'll roll it just for fun too. You never know. I might roll well.
You never know.
Biggest joke I've made yet. Nope.
I mean, you did roll well. You just have a -1 modifier.
It was better than
Not
this.
call
one.
11 well. Well for me.
That's in the upper half of the die.
Anyway,
digit, yeah.
You continue on in. And eventually you make your way to the place where your father keeps his office.
right. I mean, there's a good chance he's not even there, so we just grab something, leave a note, it'll be fine. If he's there, it's not a big deal anyways.
So you walk up, do you knock or
Huh? Yeah, of
You
course you
knock?
knock.
okay.
It's Daddy's office. Of course you knock. You don't know what he's doing in there.
So you knock, and there's a muffled like dragging of something metal as and then from outside from inside you hear, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry. We'll have to cut this short for just a moment." And there's a of a portal being closed. And then you hear from inside, "Enter, darling."
Okay. Open the door and head in.
And you enter, and once again, you are greeted with the like green and black pinstriped suit of Helias Fairchild.
Yep.
As he looks over and glances at the group that has entered. "Ah, my lovely daughter, Till, and Bees, and someone Wait, you were on Severinus, yes?" And Xander sort of, "Yeah, I was there. Lovely to meet you again. So, my dear daughter, what can I
think
do
you got
for
that wrong, by the way. Not bees, Mistle.
Sorry, Mistle, yes, and Mistle, yes. I said Bees
So-
instead of Mistle.
NBD, but I am. We've been going around doing a bunch of stuff, and expenses come up, and I'm running a little bit low. So
Of course. I can always funnel a nice sum of credits to keep you from having any trouble. How much do you think you'll need?
I don't know. Like, I haven't been doing like most of it was just recently spent because we had to get some diamonds for magic stuff.
Doing some
So, I
genuine
don't know.
adventuring, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. It's a lot of fun. Till's
She's
doing
really
a
good
great
at it.
job, by the way.
I'm sure. I'm glad to hear that he's been performing well above expectations. He
Yep.
says as he looks over at Till, and it's just that subtle glance.
Till's kind of got a bit of a 1,000-yard stare. He's just looking off into the middle distance right now. Yeah, and when he says above expectations, there's just the faintest narrowing of eyes.
Completely passes.
Right, like, wonder what actual expectations were. Okay, well,
that he would have had to have come and killed you already.
right? Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
There he knows this is Kendall's like 17th bodyguard.
Right. Till's doing his very best impression of a piece of furniture in the room.
Yep. So like I don't imagine too much. Just like, like $1,000.
Please take two, he says as
Okay.
he pulls as
That's
he
fine.
pulls out a cred stick and just transfers a set of 2,000 gold.
What?
2,000 gold.
I like to imagine, like, obviously this is not like any indication of the way you run Elias Fairchild, Shawnee, but for whatever reason, I just imagine that he hands her a black card, and then from now on, all of the like gold. Anytime Kendall needs to make needs to buy something, just roll a d20 plus charisma modifier to see if you can afford it or not. And how charitable is Dad feeling today?
Right.
The problem is with those cards when you actually swipe it and spend money, it comes off somebody else's life force. So
Right.
Oh yeah, exactly.
those are the special cards.
That's why it, you have to roll to see how well it is right now.
Yes.
I'd like to buy, I don't know, Argos.
All right, perfect. Thank you. I love you. So we're gonna be. Sorry.
Oh no, Missile just says that's a lot of money.
So we're gonna be around for a little bit. We've got some stuff we're doing here. A bunch of them went to the library. Can't remember why now. It's almost like it was a week ago. I don't get it.
Scholarly pursuits are indeed part of adventuring.
Yes, yeah, we're looking stuff up. I really need to write down names. What was the name of what was the name of the diamond dude?
Tony Fine.
Tony,
Thank you. Tony told me to tell you hi.
He also said to tell him that his shipment is ready.
And that your shipment is ready. Thank you.
Excellent. I'll have to pay a journey back down to the jewelers soon.
I wonder, do I have a notes document for this one? Because I've got notes document for other people.
There's a public notes document that no one ever uses.
Yeah, I don't use
I
that.
use it all the time.
I do, but it only has the names
Tony's
of
name is the
two-
last entry in there.
It only has the names of the two, the forward person and innkeeper at Reisfeld. That's all that's in my notes document.
Would you like a notes document? Would you like another notes
No,
journal entry from me?
I don't need a notes document. I have Notepad plus.
Ooh, take two.
Ooh, fancy notepad.
Yes.
Yep.
Best notepad.
Pretty good.
It actually recognizes HTML coding and shit. It's great. I love it. Anyways, so yeah, your shipment's ready. So stop by there whenever. Like I said, we're still gonna be around. I'll let you know when we take off. We should probably go catch back up with them.
Of course. Do let me know if you have any further need of assistance.
Of course, always. Thank you. Bye.
Have a wonderful journey, he says, and as the group of you leave, Till, you can just feel his eyes on you.
Yep.
Head out with a sort of
does
bouncing-
not make eye contact.
Making eye contact is how he gets you.
Exactly.
Mist will try rolling another insight on Till.
Sure.
I don't have the best. So nope.
I went to shake some crumbs off my phone and then forgot that this phone turns the flashlight on when you shake it.
So you blinded yourself?
No, but I almost did.
Yeah,
It was
mine
a
doesn't
close
do that.
call. I mean, it's really useful when when you don't want to unlock the phone, you just want to turn the flashlight on, so you just
Right, yeah, no.
shake it and then it turns it on. But
So yeah, we're
So,
heading
you-
back. Or
yeah,
we
you get back
go
in the
pick
vehicle.
up.
On the way out, as soon as the
Yes.
door shuts, Till will turn to Kendall. I do need to ask your advice on something. You're better at people than I am, and I may need your counsel on something within the next day or so.
Okay.
Excellent.
And beef.
That's all.
Okay.
Yep.
Head out. Bees.
The armor is just sort of lying slumped against a tree, and as you'll call, a bunch of the torch bees that are lit up and glowing come and descend back into it and fill it, and slowly sort of like reverse like cut string puppet.
Right,
stands up.
marionettes up. Yeah.
Yeah. As Bees looks around, I would like to make an insight check and see the vibe from everybody. 11.
You guys have inspiration stocked up. You need to start making use of it.
That is true.
Oh,
Problem is, we're
yeah.
saving it for when we're rolling against people that aren't us.
I'm not. I just forget.
Hill comes across completely neutral.
Can I
You
use
know
my-
what? I'm gonna roll again because I have not rolled yet, and we'll see. I will actually use one of my 5 inspirations if I don't succeed.
rolled
And
earlier.
yes, Holly, you can also use one of your inspirations.
Okay. Cool.
Oh, it was so close.
You actually beat the 11.
Ah! Yes.
Oh no, yeah, the 11 was the deception. Perfect.
Yep. Kendall, you're getting just kind of like a focused attention on bees in a somewhat evaluative manner. I would say with a 20 Mistle, Till has concerns about bees specifically right now.
Where did this fucking Final Fantasy VII Midgar music come from?
It's the same track. This is the same track that has been playing constantly. It just has several different songs in it.
I dig it.
This is great. No, I love it. This is like
Oh, we should get back to Coltarn.
This is apparently someone's idea of Night City music.
It works.
Mistel's gonna fly over and land on Till's head because she no longer sits on his shoulder. It's just his head now. And she will like whisper in his ear, "Is something up with bees?"
Later.
Something's up with bees. Something's up with bees. Something's up
Okay.
with bees. Something's up with bees.
I'm staying up here. She just perches on top of his head.
Exactly as I anticipated.
All going according to plan.
But we should get back to Coltarn, see what he's found at the university.
Sounds
Aw.
good.
What's
Bees,
fun
there's a
for
lot you
with-
can learn once you know how to. Actually, does Till know if Bees is literate? He's
I think-
pretty
I
clearly
think-
established as not, right?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think Till firmly knows that Bees is not literate.
Right.
Because
mhm.
Bees has attempted to vote in each of the voting circumstances just by drawing wax pictures of themselves.
Right. There's a lot of very interesting things you can learn at a library, Bees. You do have to be able to read, which we're going to get taken care of for you, hopefully, soon.
We said what's fun.
Learning can be fun.
Learning.
What's
fun-
something fun that you've learned in the last couple weeks?
There's sort of a sullen buzzing coming from the hive.
Take some time and think about it. You don't have to answer the question right now.
We learned about diamonds.
There you go.
We learned you just ask your friends for them.
Sometimes.
And Sector 5 music
I
right
mean,
here.
we did pay for those. He didn't just give them up.
Okay. But you gave them up.
I mean, yeah, I gave them to you because you needed them.
Yeah. Don't they
Oh,
look,
I see what you mean. Yeah,
don't they look good?
they do.
They turn their luminescent sort of odd eye / constellation array on you.
Which
very
Kendall
dramatic,
doesn't think
Bees.
is weird or creepy at all.
So,
It's like having little stars with us.
Xander off to one side. Why was I even here?
I mean, you
I know.
because I wanted to have you here. You
At
didn't
that-
have to come.
Till
Only one-
breaks into a smile at that for the first time since getting back to the Fairchild property.
You
Only
definitely
one
could have
queen
stayed
gets to
behind.
claim all
I
the
wouldn't have.
drones.
Sorry, what was that?
Jeremy, what were you saying?
Oh no, go ahead. You go.
Only one queen gets to claim all the drones.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh? that completely passes her by. You totally could have not come if you didn't want to hang out with me. That's fine.
You actively grabbed me and pulled me into the vehicle.
Yeah, but you could have said no. Like, if you had said no, I would rather stay here. I would have let you stay here. It's fine if you want to hang out with other people.
Is it?
Yes, 100%.
Because I sort of get the feeling that while I'm standing around here, I've got like 5 guns trained on me at all times.
Oh, no.
That's because what Kendall's saying is a trap, but not a real deadly one, just a word one.
No. So you do have, it's actually 6 guns trained on you, but that's just
8.
normal. Oh, are they? I thought they were out to lunch. Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, there's 8 guns trained on you right now, but that doesn't have anything to do with whether you wanted to being able to say no or not.
You see, you say that, but 8 guns trained on someone certainly does a lot for their ability to say no.
That's only because we're here right now.
And to be fair, Xander, they're not trained on you specifically.
They're trained on all of you.
Sort of like the nod.
It's more of a distributed gun essence rather than a targeted, discrete gun aim.
Exactly.
Talk to me about gun essence. I'm literally a weaponsmith.
You've entered into the realm of Dhaka.
No, literally make guns. Don't talk to me about essence of gun like it's an essential fucking oil.
I'm just picturing an old orc in a smoking jacket with a pipe. Hello.
Welcome to the Dhaka
To
zone.
learn more about Dhaka.
that was the feel I was going for. Thank you.
Amazing. No.
Thank you for viewing this episode of Masterpiece Dhaka.
One of our audience members was responded to the 6 saying there were 7, and they missed the one that was in the fountain. So good luck.
Like they weren't. Though that's just guards here. Has nothing to do with anything like you and me, like you not being able to say no. You can totally, if you want to stay behind, you totally can. Only one person around me has a gun when we're out, and that's not true. All of the rest of us have guns, but you know what I mean. And that's still.
I feel like you're not explaining it right.
Xander's just like, you know what? Let's get going to that college.
Okay.
And you all get in the vehicle and drive out.
Also, just want to know that elderly orc in a smoking jacket with a pipe. It's definitely a bubble pipe. 100% bubble pipe
of corrosive acid.
But meanwhile, Coltarn and Surprise and Jasira and Srita are headed to the Evergreen Conservatory. Public transit is relatively easy to use, and it's also not that far of a distance, so you could theoretically just walk.
Yeah, I'll walk. I form a nice wedge in a public space whenever I walk down the street. So.
Cold turn icebreaker.
And honestly, the group of you as a whole do a fairly good job of wedging traffic out of the way with your combined aesthetic. But
question.
Yes.
What did Till want to research again? Because I have no idea.
Till would have stated a desire to research on basically anything that will help us figure out this whole Sarheim thing.
So researching on Sarheim.
Right, and specifically, like with Jazira's knowledge of her father, and the general targeted of what are we expecting, or what would be most likely to be the dangers arising therefrom, and how are we going to eventually fix that? Since the Oracle told us we had a destiny, TM.
Gotcha. Okay. To the college.
Okay.
Once we get there, Koltarn, the back of his battle fist, there's like sort of an info plate that just irises open and reveals this sort of blue glowing symbol that is just like an orcish rune. And that symbol like glows faintly blue, and as it does, all the connecting joints of the arm glow blue. A couple of exhaust ports open and steam out, and as that happens, I am casting. That is the visual instance of me casting enhance ability on myself.
There you go.
As I am casting enhance ability for intelligence to help me with researching.
You have cast enhance ability upon yourself.
So I would like to read books now.
Yeah, and as you enter the college and sort of ask around, asking for permission to use the research facilities and the libraries for the sake of information gathering for the purposes of adventuring, you are relatively quickly and easily maneuvered to the public-facing libraries and research alcoves that the university provides, especially for the adventurers of the Core Adventurers League who have a deal with the university.
Yeah.
On this planet. That helps them do research for adventuring purposes.
Good
So,
union job.
The Adventurers League is the best union. Why do you think so many people take up adventuring?
But yeah, doing research on Sarheim.
Lack of better options in life.
No, that's why
Or-
people
I
join the
mean-
military.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tell me the major difference between the two.
Agency
Adventurers
in
League-
terms of whether or not you accept a given
Mercenary actions.
mission.
The Adventurers League is not only provides agency, but also is a union.
Mercenaries.
I don't
Yeah.
think mercenary companies have a union.
Wait, I feel like they're all
They have
individually their own
representation.
unions.
Like,
Anyways.
I'm sorry, the difference between mercenaries and adventuring groups is razor
thin.
It's almost like that's the reason why I made you all mercenaries in the last Grand Terrain.
Oh, so while Koltarn is looking up something relevant to the story, Surprise is just going to insert themselves into this library as if they belong there, and just start picking up books on, I don't know, there's some on the history of Barkfolk, some on the politics of Druidcraft. Give me two other weird topics.
So you pick up some.
Amoebas and you, relationships between solid state individuals and less than and more amorphous
Absolutely.
individuals.
Yep. Something on the amorphous, and probably random topic that potentially comes up. Flux change in regarding which is a half novel, half scientific research paper regarding the effects of ethereal regeneration in unique environs and how that can potentially impact the ethereal in question.
That sounds delightful. They're being just they're all being read through. All of them. There's at least 2 books on each topic. Just arms full. Like 6 of them are open in front of Surprise at a table, and they somehow they're cross-referencing between the Druidcraft politics and the flux capacitors, and where these books cross-reference is not apparent to anybody else, but it's happening.
So, anyways,
Meanwhile,
Do we need to roll?
Coltarn, roll me an investigation check with advantage, yes.
yes. 23.
All right. So with 23, you find a number of different topics, different books that have been written on Sarheim. Among the various things that you have to learn, there are a few different topics and a few different bits of information that you glean from the amount of reading that you've got before everyone else shows up. First among which is the concept of dimensional coherence, which is the idea that the different dimensions that exist within this universe are roughly coherent to each other spatially, in that some of these extra dimensions are larger or smaller than others, but they all maintain a similar relative spatial location, which is why there are some dimensions that can only be accessed from certain regions of the galaxy, and why that on dimensions that are equally as large as the material plane, such as Sarheim, that exist on a similar scale, plane shifting from one location in the material to Sarheim will bring you to a roughly equivalent location within the Hell Realms, which basically allows for a certain level of predictability as to where things are happening. If you see demonic incursions happening in a particular region of space, you can imagine that their endpoint also comes from a relatively similar location within the realms of Sarheim, for instance. And the same goes for instance, Yarnvidar, which is the precursor term for what would be colloquially known as the Feywild, which is similarly not on the same kind of scale as Sarheim, but definitely a galactic scale extra dimension. But just because they share a spatial cohesion doesn't mean that they necessarily look the same. Like, Sarheim is very much similarly a galaxy, an entire galaxy of hell, compared to the material plane. But Yarnvidar, though it maintains spatial coherency, does so at a different level, because Yarnvidar seems like it's all one overgrown forest. Doesn't seem to have the level of planetary distinction that Sarheim and the material plane do, but it does maintain that spatial coherency.
It doesn't have like space void the way we have between planets. It's pretty contiguous. Okay.
Yeah. Some theorize that the spatial coherency of Yarnvidar is condensed, in that Yarnvidar might actually be significantly smaller than the material plane, but its co-position accommodates a wide space, so you can end up in roughly the same place in Yarnvidar from a wide area in the material plane.
Would that explain how warp travel through Gununga Gap works then, basically?
Sort of. The theory, the leading theory working on that is that Gununga Gap is infinitely small because it is empty, and thus any amount of travel across Gununga Gap allows for instant co-position upon returning to anywhere in the galaxy, essentially.
Gotcha.
The idea that if every dimension is co-positionally uniform, and then if you travel to a smaller dimension, travel across that smaller dimension covers a larger distance than the greater ones.
Mm-hmm.
And thus the idea of Ginunga Gap being basically infinitely small and connecting to everything makes it an ideal means of travel.
I'm not certain how this helps us, Coltarn just says to himself, but it is interesting.
Though there is an amount of debate on the idea of Ginunga Gap being infinitely small based on the idea of things inside of it and the presence of what is. Can you really judge space and size in a realm that is essentially nothingness?
Yeah.
The other topic that you find is just sort of on general demonology and on the idea of there is a particular concept that is noted in the other thing that you find known as exile worlds, which are a specific Zarhemian concept of this sort of lays out a basic foundation of the cultures, air quotes, of Zarheim are roughly uniform, having been easily traversed throughout the millennia that they have existed and sort of reinforced by the biology of Zarhemian creatures. However, when there exists the culture of the typical culture of demons and devils involves an amount of traditional evil by most other culture standards. The idea of bargaining in souls and consuming living beings and living spirits to gain power and sate the inherent hunger for life energy that Zarhemians possess, with malicious disregard to the willingness of anyone else, is sort of built into their culture as far as most people identify it, but there do exist what are known as exile worlds, which is to say, the Zarhemian culture tends to stamp out anyone who is not willing and able and ready to take every advantage they possibly can. But those individuals do exist occasionally. There do exist examples of demons. Yeah, essentially. But there are records of individuals like that, those who are non-evil generally within the Zarhemian system, that survive long enough, either by innate power or just the ability to avoid danger for long enough, to meet others of their persuasion, now the other individuals who do not agree with the rest of the culture, and occasionally those become large enough groups to break off from the greater mass of the Zarhemian culture and find their own places. These so-called exile worlds become homes for those demons and devils who do not agree in general with the Zarhemian culture and would otherwise be squashed for their relative lack of power. Their combined presence making them more of a dangerous threat than is worth exterminating.
This may have just been my ADHD blanking on bits of information, because that was a lot of information. Zarheim is not just one contiguous plane of material, right? It's got its own space.
Yes, it is its own galaxy. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Sorry, I was. That might have been the Feywild that was one contiguous plane of matter.
Yes, the Yarnvidr or the Feywild is one contiguous plane.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry.
Did you spell Yarnvidr for me?
Yes, 1 second.
In the chat, yeah. So potential allies, maybe.
Yeah, there might be friendly worlds in Zarheim, or at least more slanted that direction.
Yeah. All right. I'm documenting all this down in data pads I have Tollbar actively like recording all this information and translating it into data pads while I'm reading. because he can see through
And
my
it's-
cyber eye.
It's at roughly that point that the rest of the group arrives.
Hi,
Ah,
we're back.
welcome back. Or welcome here, I guess.
What have we found so far?
Mostly some documentations on the concept of planar co-positioning amongst the various alternate planes to the material, and also the concept of exile worlds from those that would not conform to Zarhemian culture of supremacy that, well, for instance, I say gesturing towards Jazeera. Individuals such as Jazeera might not be as, well, individual as far as likelihoods of occurrences.
I make
It
a
is-
roll for a fun fact to share with the group.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
What am I rolling? Investigation?
Yeah, roll investigation. It is noted, however, in that research that most exile worlds are theoretical. The idea that they might exist. However, only one has ever been rumored to be identified and have a name. There is a single known exile world, at least in rumor, known as Sanctum, somewhere within Zarhai.
Ah, yes. Diablo.
No, that's Sanctuary.
Ever.
Right.
But yeah, no, that's why I said potentially.
With a
Excellent.
15, surprise, you learn that it has been known, your random fun fact, it has been known occasionally for a ethereal, such as yourself, to reform after having been disillusioned by damage or shock on top of a previously existing etheric or spiritual mass, which has caused something that is typically known as a flux change, which is the essence of the ethereal fusing with whatever it reforms around, and typically creating an entirely new individual out of the co-position.
I share that with the group. Furthermore, did you know that if an ethereal loses their body and uses a body that's already in use, then you get a new ethereal?
Interesting.
Very.
That's kind of awesome.
Is that what happened to you? Is that why you're all soft and made of cloth?
No, I'm just a normal ethereal.
Okay.
And Shawnee, you said that the ghost ships were at Absalom Station.
Absalom Station, yeah.
Do we have any idea where on the map that is?
We've been there before.
We've been to Gilgamesh Station.
Sorry, Gilgamesh Station. Absalom is Starfinder.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Oh, sorry.
I was
Okay,
like,
yeah,
I
no.
wasn't gonna
Well,
say
if it's
anything, but I was
Gilgamesh,
like,
then
that
yes,
sounds
we know
familiar.
we know exactly where it is because that's where Till's from. Okay.
Gilgamesh
Easy enough.
Sorry, I probably said Absalom. I meant Gilgamesh.
It's all good.
Absalom is-
I just wanted to
Absalom
make
is
sure I wasn't
Starfinder.
mishearing anything.
That's Sunday night.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's
How dare you confuse your fantasy system space stations?
I've been. It's all right. I've been thinking about creating Solarians in Stardust for a while. And I was like, wait, no, that's Starfinder.
Get her.
Starfinder, I barely know her.
We let that die and move on.
I
dear.
laugh.
So yes, I'm not certain how much use this information will be in our overall objective, but potentially useful somehow.
Any background information, if we're going to have to deal with Sarheim, will be, I'm sure, have some level of advantage at some point along the line. Especially if there's a potential safe landing point somewhere we might be able to utilize.
Yes.
I have yet to learn anything that hasn't benefited me. At least it's interesting.
Good to know. Well then, was there any more research you wanted to do, Till, or?
If that seems to be the full scope of what the library has accessible.
To be fair, that's what a couple of hours of research bought you.
Yeah.
Like, that's not... You could keep digging.
I'm certain I could find more, but I'm not sure how much time I want to spend.
Was there any, since I wasn't here for the brief, effectively, what's the level of urgency on this Gilgamesh Station situation?
We
There
haven't received
wasn't
the contact yet.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a contact to reach out to when you arrive at Gilgamesh.
Okay.
But the basic premise was that there has been a fleet of ghost ships that arrived at Gilgamesh Station, and they sent out a request for adventurers. And this mission was set aside as potential for more veteran ones and offered to you. And when you took it, then it was assigned to you, and thus other adventuring teams will no longer be assigned that mission.
Oh, okay.
And we are also going to be getting scavenging rights for the ships.
Yes,
Oh.
you do have scavenging rights is part of the negotiation has already been made. You will be free to claim any loose material that is not specifically requested by description of the contact. Like if they say, like, you know, I want the power core of X ship,
Right.
then you bring them
That's
that.
marked to them,
Everything
right.
else is
Anything else
yours.
is free, fair game. Yeah.
But we may also have to beat, you know, just freelance scavengers to the punch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And with Tills being a local of Gilgamesh, is there any sort of role he can make on the likely effects of having something like this happen, and whether or not we should, are there going to be a whole bunch of freelancers out there just clawing through things with every minute that we waste, or what?
What you may have to roll for that one.
Okay.
Yes, Gilgamesh
Okay.
Station is one of the single largest, most populous space stations
I
that
thought
is
so.
not on a planet, or occasionally some of the void gates have a larger environment. Gilgamesh has a lot of people. Those ships are probably impossible to miss and probably look like straight cash to a lot of people who live there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mind you, they're probably also dangerous. So not only are you going to be, are there going to be more scavengers who are going in there, there's probably also going to be more people who don't realize how dangerous these things might be going in there, potentially dying.
Right.
And becoming more enemies later on for us to fight.
But also leaving behind more salvage, potentially.
Spoken like a true adventurer.
Hey.
Every corpse is a loot box. All right.
Right. Till's reaction at that point then would be, I would like to get to Gilgamesh as quickly as we can. I know it's going to be a significant flight. But if we could get to Fordbird and make our run as quickly as possible, I feel like that would be helpful. We're going to need to have decent gear if we're going to take things on, and better sooner than trying to pick up scraps of whatever mess is being made of it right now.
Well then.
How long
Does
does
this
it take to
library
get
let
there?
you check out books?
This is a university library, so not unless you're a student.
Surprised.
I wasn't going to return them, so it's probably for the best.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, that's precisely why they don't let you, because they know the students are going to be on campus to have them returned.
What did Bees say?
Surprised you want them?
Check out books.
Yeah.
Surprise holds up Amoebas and You. It says, this one is surprisingly fascinating.
Just take it.
No.
Bees, that's called stealing, and we don't do that.
No.
I mean,
'cause
it
you
is
don't
a
buy-
library.
You don't buy them here. You borrow them.
Can I,
Not how that one works, Bees.
Shawnee, can I download, I just sort of quickly scan that book and see if there's an online, if there's an on-net transcript of it
The
anywhere?
ebook version.
Right?
We torrented it for you.
Yeah.
These books are supposed to stay in the university. If you take it
You
outside
scan-
the
you-
university, that's called stealing still.
Okay.
you scan the cover of it, and yeah, immediately you sort of pick up a couple of different like scanned copies of this book, and that have been put on various different subnets.
So Coulthard just looks at the book. His one cybernetic eye flashes for a second. He leans over and then pulls out a data pad, and after a few seconds, just hands it over towards you. I've got volumes 1 through 7 on this.
Nice. I bet it gets real spicy by volume 6.
Well, anyway.
What's Mistle been doing?
Oh, Mistle is just sitting off to the side with a giant book, like sitting on it. And you don't know if she's reading it or sleeping on it.
Or both?
Maybe
Sleep
both.
reading on
Yes.
it. Well, reading.
Let me tell you, sleep reading is a thing.
Yep.
You don't absorb books by osmosis.
You
That-
don't.
You don't absorb books by osmosis, no. You can absolutely absorb that knowledge, particularly on university grounds, if you are reading while you are technically asleep. It may not be good enough to get like an A, but C
You
minus,
pass.
you're good.
D
Why you
is
just-
for
that's why you just-
diploma.
You put it in audiobook form and just have it playing while you sleep, so it's in your dreams.
Listen, unlike y'all children, I went to school, I was in college in 95, so their audiobooks wasn't really a thing.
Well, with that schedule in mind, we should get back to the Volkir. Surprise, safe travels.
Absolutely. I just stand up to come along.
We're
Till
all gonna have
stops.
safe travels.
I'm sorry. Was there a discussion that I was not part of?
No,
I think you were
You-
busy. You were staring off into the middle distance when it happened, I think.
there wasn't a discussion, it was just decided.
What was decided?
I mean, ghost
Kendall-
ships
The
sound
surprise
cool.
is coming
Why
with.
wouldn't I come along?
Kendall has adopted Surprise.
What now? Oh.
I see.
Okay. Mistle will sit
Well,
on
now
Surprise's
that's sorted.
shoulder.
Not remotely. Let's be on our way.
But surprise, you didn't join the Dust Knights formally, right?
No.
Y'all haven't even taken me out to dinner yet.
Okay, all right. And then Till, like a little cluster of bees near your head, goes, that means we don't have to share money like we don't with Kendall.
Correct.
Well, then let's get to the ship.
Okay.
On the way, I would like to stop for parts at a shipyard.
They're mostly going to be natural materials, but if you
Well,
need, I can walk you through the procedures.
Not here, on the way to Gilgamesh Station.
I mean, they'd work for it.
We could hybrid something,
We
probably.
could, but I'm not particularly a fan of having to learn how to repair technology I'm unfamiliar with in the heat of battle.
I mean, it might be you, but if you get it now, you can learn that along the way. And then if
I
it's
love
situation
learning
if we
shit.
get into where we need it, it would be good to have.
Teach me, I'll learn it. I like learning stuff.
We'll teach you. Isn't there a shipyard on Gilgamesh Station?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can talk to Polly.
No.
Why
No,
not?
Because Paul is a blowhard who thinks he knows a lot more than he actually does, and he sits in the back and drinks calf beverages
Okay,
while
I
yelling
want-
at people.
I want to be clear when I say talk to Polly. talk to Polly, who's gonna talk to the actual people who make the good ship parts, who know what.
Miss
they're doing.
Fairchild, what do you think I did while I was on
I-
Gilgamesh Station? We don't need to talk to Polly. I can take you directly to the people you want to talk to.
Huh. That's right. I forgot you did that.
Yes. It's fine.
There is the look of, you haven't always been my bodyguard, fully on the face.
Till had a life?
But yes, I would like to buy the.
It's my teacher doesn't live at the school.
Right,
moment.
yeah.
Right. Which is funny because Kendall legitimately knows and has been explicitly told what Till did. It's just completely.
Sure.
Yes. Kendall has long-term memory things.
Well, yes,
Problem.
I would like to buy the 1,650 gold worth of repairs needed to finalize the Dust Runner.
All right. Well, if we can't find a place to stop on the way, we can definitely pick up that sort of part collection when we get to Gilgamesh.
Yes. Let's go. Let's get on the way.
All right.
Yep.
I'm enjoying having Coltarn be oddly averse to learning how to druid craft to repair a vehicle.
It's okay, we'll make you do it.
But yeah, head back to the spaceport. Miss Fairchild, do you need to contact your father before we depart? Let him know.
I think we're good.
All right.
I mean, no, we're good.
He always knows where you go because
Yeah.
you have that pendant.
He didn't tell me to.
No, but you sort of led him to believe, I feel, that we were going to be on planet for a little while, and that turns out to not be the case.
Eh. We'll figure it out.
I'm sure.
So you all return to the ship.
There you are.
As the ramp of vines and bark extends, and you manage to walk your way back aboard the Gulnash Wulkir.
Surprise! Welcome aboard the Gulnaj Wulkir.
Who's gonna show me around?
Kindle, I think.
Let's
obviously.
get to it.
Yep.
I'm gonna go get the engines fired up.
Which is exactly where we start.
Until, like, the group walks on board, until just stops after everybody kind of blows past him and just watches as people go off in different directions. Kind of nods and then hits the button to bring the ramp up and seal us in.
And then
you
the
hit
murder
for the
begins.
nerve- I was gonna say, then you hit the button to release the
nerve toxin.
gas.
Right, yep. Yep. Nope. He just
To release the deadly neurotoxin.
pats the airlock door.
I found the imposter.
All right.
You,
This will be interesting.
you're having your Mal moment.
Till then vents to the cabin, to the cockpit.
Whenever there is downtime, Mistel wanted to talk to Till.
Okay. I mean, after everybody sort of departs, Till's headed to the bridge. Because he's the pilot. So you could probably find him there pretty easily.
By the time you get to the bridge, it's probably just a message just from the engineering. Till will be ready to go in 10.
Excellent. Starting pre-flight checks.
Also in the background, hi Till. In the background of that.
Hello, Miss Fairchild.
Can I drive next?
Under no circumstances.
I'm gonna drive soon.
I've already let go of the button, so I get that.
Yeah.
Some part of that was
Yeah.
not gone.
Yes.
Not gone through.
Yeah, at
And
some
of
point.
course, oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry,
no,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, as a quick aside, Xander was 100% pulled along on the tour.
Poor thing.
He can say no.
No, he can't.
Yes, he can.
Only 8 guns trained on him.
Not anymore. We've left the grounds. Now only one, and it's still.
Yeah, at some point, Mr. will fly in and
Okay.
sit
Yeah.
next to. I don't know what Till is sitting in.
He's in
Gotcha.
the pilot's seat, technically.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, there's panels and stuff. There's any number of places if she doesn't want to sit on a shoulder or a head that she could find to sit down.
We don't have like a map for the Golden National here, do we, Johnny?
No, I should make one at some point, or commission Jack to make one. The Elder, I should say.
I could mock something up.
Commission Jack the Elder to make a map.
I have yet to be able to make a map of it because I have no skill at designing ships, and also no pre-existing ship designs incorporate the shape of the Golnash of an Orcish ship that I want. Apparently nobody makes ships the way I envision Orcish ships. But yes,
Pistol.
I've been wanting to talk to you for a while.
Oh dear, that sounds threatening.
No, I'm never
He's smiling.
Okay, first of all, what was up with bees earlier? There seemed to be something. You were fixated on bees.
Yes.
When we were at Adele's place. Not Adele.
All of a sudden,
No,
there is a very, very dark change. He's like, is this where you go when you die?
And then just winks out of existence on her way to some other dimension.
you have too many wealthy characters, okay?
All right, well, we might as
You're not
well
wrong.
experiment with this then. Yes.
Okay.
When Varouge was in charge, I defaulted to his judgment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make kind of a blanket universal statement here, and if you disagree with it, the rest of this conversation probably won't make a ton of sense. But child soldiers are bad across the board.
Yes.
All right. We, as the Dust Knights, do dangerous things. We put ourselves in peril and combat situations on the regular. And as someone who has been recently selected to take a leadership position there, I don't sleep well knowing that my general approach on problems is to take time observing it, see how things go, and only interfere or make drastic decisions if no other option seems to present itself. Muddied water always clears in time, and sometimes confusion decreases over time. I do not think it is proper for bees, as functionally a child, based on the way they view the world, the amount of life experience they have. I realize they're adult torch bees, technically, but putting bees in dangerous situations and letting them enact violence without them having the necessary maturity to understand the full scope of the consequences of their actions, I can't countenance that anymore.
So what do you want to do about it?
I mean, I know that bees has the ability to take care of themselves in a wilderness environment, and if they were just a normal swarm of torch bees, they probably wouldn't even be with us right now. But given the changes in development they've gone through, I'm half tempted to ask Coltarn to download some sort of AI elementary education subroutines into his artificial companion and tell Bees he needs to, stock down in a cabin and just wait it out until they've learned enough to function as an adult.
I don't think that would work well for Bees.
That is
And I don't believe
an
that
unfortunate
Bees would agree to it.
Which I absolutely understand would probably be the initial reaction. But the fact of the matter remains, if I'm going to be in command of the Dust Knights, I won't have a child on the battlefield.
Okay. And I think this is something we need to talk to Bees about.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to imprison anyone or anything like that. It would simply be one of those things where, Bees seems to be resistant but accepting of the concept, for instance, that they are not allowed to drive a vehicle until they have been properly licensed and educated. And being in a situation where your normal rules have changed is kind of a fact of existence in reality. Sometimes your normal default behaviors suddenly are no longer permitted to remain as such. That will be a concept that Bees will have to confront at some point as well. And while they may not be appreciative of a sudden change, we'll address it as kindly and firmly as we can.
I understand your concerns. I would argue, though, that the only way for Bees to grow is to continue with us.
I'm perfectly fine having Bees remain in our company. I'm not going to strand them on a planet of some sort or leave them behind.
Stripping Bees of privileges that they have already had would do more damage than good.
I'm not an educational expert, but I do have a level of moral code. And while Bees may have gotten used to certain privileges, as you call them, I can either step down as commander, or this is a line that I will draw. A child has no place on a battlefield. That much I know, and Bees is a child.
I thought you said you hadn't played the Metal Gear Solid games.
Can Bees
And-
bloom on a battlefield?
There are ways that freedom and privileges can be revoked that are damaging. Absolutely. There are ways that those new limitations can be incorporated that are not, however. And I feel more damage would likely be done if we were to simply allow Bees to continue to engage in, honestly, for the stage of development that he's at, potentially traumatic circumstances on a regular basis without some level of the mind is not ready for this yet. As I've evaluated it. And were it possible to somehow guide them through that, if we had the necessary structure in place to engage in some sort of long-form gradual training, absolutely. Honestly, for me, the turning point came with that battle with the Hydra, where all of us were able to incorporate certain protections to mitigate the level of risk that we were exposed to, and Bees was there just comparatively naked in a fight.
I did notice that.
And while previously I was very much willing to try and feel it out and see if there was some level of modification, in the wake of that, I can't anymore, Pistol.
I understand. I understand your concerns.
But like you say, we want to make sure this is done in a way that is prioritizing of Bees' welfare, safety, development, education, that sort of thing. This is not... I'm not going to do something mean to Bees just because I'm uncomfy.
I would suggest that maybe we talk to everyone else about it.
Absolutely.
And we could all sit down with Bees and maybe figure out the best way to go forward.
Of course. I think to an extent, and I don't want Bees to necessarily feel excluded. This is effectively his new family, their new family. There are ways, especially with people like Xander on board, that Bees can be included in our efforts while being physically removed from the combat situations. And I will definitely want to take any and all advantage of those sort of elements that we can. Because you're right, Bees needs to feel that they belong, because they do. And we need to make sure that whatever steps taken don't imply that they are no longer an equal part of this little community we're building here. So that's why I was staring at Bees.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about, I've been wanting to talk to you about. You do not have to answer if you don't want to.
All right.
But I, on multiple occasions, have noticed how tense you are around Kendall's father. But it seems to be more than that.
Kendall's father is a very powerful man who has an exceptionally far reach. And when one works for an individual of that capability, of all the things that we've run across since the Dust Knights formed, and as bad as many of those situations could turn out, Elias Fairchild is by far the most dangerous creature we have encountered since the Dust Knights formed.
How did you come to be in his employment?
I work in his shipyards on Gilgamesh Station.
Okay. I mean more, how did you become the keeper of Kendall?
That I'm not entirely sure about in terms of what happened behind the scenes. I got a call from the owner of a vast interplanetary corporation for whom I had been a fairly low-ranking technician/employee, who flew me out to Fallen Thornwood and effectively told me I was his daughter's bodyguard. I don't know how he found my name or what it was about me particularly that drew his attention, but so that was, of course, a disconcerting initiation to the whole situation. And based on what I know of his power and capabilities, the potential consequences of disappointing my employer are, suffice to say, extreme and terrifying.
So he told you, he didn't ask you.
Oh, that I was his daughter's bodyguard?
Yes.
Oh, yes. No, it was made very clear that this was my new assignment.
Is it an assignment that you wanted?
I didn't apply for the job, if that's what you mean, and I don't have any particular aversion to the duties that I'm conducting. There's a bit of a sword hanging over my head if something goes sideways. But other than that, I'm not indentured per se, but there's a level of technically, I suppose, there's a world in which I could have said no to the opportunity, but I don't, at the time, didn't have any other opportunities. And there are levels of power that certain individuals operate on in this galaxy that, as far as people of a certain strata are concerned, we're all effectively pawns. Because the level of influence they traffic in so far outstrips ours that any request they make is pragmatically a demand that can't be denied.
That's a little horrifying.
I think they call it capitalism.
Okay. Are you yourself okay with how things currently are? Being with us, watching over Kendall.
Yes.
Suddenly being our leader.
You tell me. I'm working on it and doing my best.
I think you're doing a good job.
All right. Well, there you are then.
I want to make sure you're happy.
I'm as happy as can be. Which, honestly, isn't too bad.
Right.
I don't think you have to worry about me overly much right now, Mistle. But if something changes or alters and you want me to let you know, I can promise to let you know.
I worry about everybody.
That makes two of us.
We do need to talk to the others some point soon about bees, because what we're going into.
Yes. Well, based on calculations, I think we have several days before we get to Gilgamesh, so yes, we'll definitely make time for that conversation.
All right. And she will just settle in on his shoulder. And
Okay.
Watch him fly the thing.
Yep. Hit the buttons for launch and...
So the ship takes off and makes its way through the void gate of Fallen Thornwood and out at Void Gate Thornwheels. You have a Class 1 Stardust engine, which means it will take 73 divided by 8.
Slightly less than 10.
Yeah, about just over 9 void jumps to get to Gilgamesh Station.
Which we can do one of a day, correct?
2. You can do 2 a day unless you put more spells into the engine.
Okay. Hey, how many spell slots does Kendall get back every short rest?
There's an upper limit to that, though, isn't there?
So yeah,
I recall there being an upper limit to that.
Yeah, spellcasters, you can get up to 2 more jumps out of it. You can
so
double.
You do a maximum of 3 per day.
4.
Oh, 4 per day. Okay.
Yeah. So I've been efficiency maximizing our jumps the entire time we've been flying. So.
Yeah. So with 9 void jumps, we could technically get there in just over 2 days.
With 9 and change, you can get there in 2 days plus the morning of the 3rd.
Right, plus some hours. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe it was already done at some point before our big hiatus, but if not, Till would make sure that the piloting controls are gene locked to him and Coltarn.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, the controls are currently locked so that only the 2 of you that are authorized can cause the controls to move.
Right. Okay.
Without significant hacking.
Yes. There's always hacking.
Always.
And I assume there's probably nowhere on the way to stop off and get parts for Coltarn.
I mean, there's Void Gate formulas if you want to stop for parts before you leave the Void Gate.
Yeah. If Coltarn wants to do a quick jump over,
yeah, if it's only going to be a couple days, stopping by there on the way just so that we can have the Dust Runner ready by the time we're exploring the ships, I think would be a good idea.
Nope. You said it was how much?
To finish repairing it, which is going to have it be still fairly shitty but workable, is going to be $1,650.
Okay. Till will deduct that from the party fund then.
Yeah, $1,650 just to get it running. That's with a poor quality engine, small tank, and fixed machine gun mounts.
Okay.
I think the bare minimum upgrades for it, hang on, are going to be, if we sell the fixed machine guns, that's 200 subtracting, so 250 plus 50 plus 75 plus 750 plus 750 minus 200. I don't know why I rolled that to the GM, but another 1675 to get it up to Coltarn's intended operating standards. But we probably can't afford that much, so
let's hold off on that until we see what kind of scavenge we get as well, because we might be able to utilize some shit from salvage.
But
ooh, what's Surprise sneaking around doing? Oh no, wait, that was the 15 from before. Never mind.
That was murder. Anyways, so yeah, so I am going to be, Shawnee, while we're traveling, before we get to that point, just preparing the Dust Runner for finalizing repairs once we have the parts, and then also just doing some tests on this Godsblood that I've got to sort of get an idea of what uses it might have and what other things you could do for it other than spawning a false Hydra.
False Hydra in a bottle. Go.
Roll me. What skills do you have?
Thieves' tools, tinker's tools, smith's tools, brewer supplies, technology, mechanist tools, arcana, insight, investigation, medicine, perception.
Roll me arcana.
While experimenting, I will have enhanceability up just because it makes sense. 28.
So the chief thing that you learn is that this material is highly dangerous. Any living or organic material that it comes into contact with has one of 2 reactions. Either it is completely overwhelmed by the divine energy and power within, and basically sublimates into its base components, and is joined into the mass of the god's blood.
So it makes more God's blood.
Or becomes, as you're primarily sort of basing this on your understanding of how it interacts with other things, of how it interacted with the false Hydra, or empowers and changes the organic material that it comes into contact with if it is able to sustain the divine essence inside. This seems to have a habit of making abominations.
Okay. I would also want to see what it does when it comes into contact with other planar energies, like my void powers.
When you make contact with it with some of the energies of Gununga Gap, of your void abilities.
Nope, we lost someone.
Lost Craig.
Yep.
Craigathy was lost.
When you make contact, there's Craig.
And Craigathy has returned.
Hey,
The Craig giveth and the Craig taketh away.
everybody
you-
turned into a robot and then Zoom crashed. My apologies.
When you make contact with void energies upon this god's blood, they slide off like oil in water.
The void energies that fucked up my Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Interesting.
They seem to be, in fact, antithetical to each other. And as you try and press them in with more force, they seem to damage each other.
At that point,
The void energies and some of the god's blood that you had sectioned off sort of consume each other and then dissipate. It sort of burns it off.
making a note. Theorizing Gununga Gap based weaponry to combat God's blood. May have found a weakness. Alright. Oh yeah. That's what I'm doing largely, just experimentation and repair work.
And as that is done, as you gather your parts to complete the Dust Runner, you have a Dust Runner character sheet now if you would like to put details into it.
Yeah.
And two, that's where we're going to take our break.
All right. Those of you that are watching live, please stay tuned for these commercial messages. And remember, when we take our break, you take your break. So stand up, stretch your legs, move around, do whatever you need to do. We'll be back in just a few minutes. And we're back.
A dinosaur story.
You're
Gotcha
the one
covered.
who actually did it.
Oh God, he's done it. Jack, you've become what you hate.
But when last we left off,
A
the group
dinosaur
had
story.
departed.
Jesus.
Either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
You monster.
So, the ship takes off after having gotten supplies. You have 2 days and some extra before you arrive at Gilgamesh Station. Is there anything that needs to happen between now and then?
Till's gonna go visit Kendall at some point, but if other people have scenes to do before that, go right ahead.
I mean, you've got like 3 scenes to do, don't you?
Technically.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we need to gather everyone and have a meeting before we get there.
This sounds fun.
But yeah, no.
Boy.
Till will knock on Kendall's door at some point, probably on the first day.
Come in.
Come in. He'll actually shut the door behind him, which I don't think has ever done before. Do you have time for some analysis and advice?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Wait, analysis and advice?
Yes, I'm going to say some things, and I need you to analyze them and give me advice.
Okay.
And Till will pretty much just lay it out for Kendall the way he did for Mistle. In terms of haven't said anything before now. False Hydra fight definitely made me question some things. Obviously, you and I have had some conversations about these sort of situations as regards yourself and my decisions. So you are a decent source, I feel, to consider this sort of thing. And the difference being you're a fucking adult and bees is bees. And he'll communicate that he wants to know your general opinion and then also what is going to be the least harmful way to communicate this when it gets when eventual communication does need to happen.
I mean, like, look, you're not wrong. I think I kind of agree. I don't know. I kind of see a lot of sides of it. Because, well, kind of like you said, I've kind of been in kind of similar kind of situations, and I know I didn't appreciate it. But also, like you said, I'm a legally adult, at least. And like, if I just, instead of telling Dad, just ran off, I'd be in the same spot as like everybody else, and like I would have been able to make my own decisions because that's what I'd be able to do. Bees is not an adult, and that's different. As far as how to break it, Bees only listens to certain people. So I think one of them would have to break, or at least back you up. Because, like, look, you're the leader. So really, you should be making the point, but I don't know how much you'll listen. Unless you've got a backup from one of the people that he really listens to.
Which would be Mistle.
Right now, yeah. I don't know. I don't deal well with kids. I don't know if you've noticed that with how Bees and I kind of get along. I know it's subtle.
You have definitely had your rocky patches. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I might not be the best person because, like, I would be if I was in that situation where I had to tell him, I'd try to talk to him like a friend. I don't know if that's gonna work. I think you kind of have to be a parent, maybe.
No.
I mean, you understand what I mean, though.
Yeah, no, that was very much just a knee-jerk reaction. You said the word parent until immediately was like, nope.
Like, look at it. Okay, look at it this way. Sorry, Jeremy's need to fiddle with things. What are the things that have worked most effectively with Bees?
Giving him what he wants immediately.
You're missing. I mean,
but yes. No.
Yeah, but no. But like when we've had to tell him no on things. Some people talk to him like a parent.
And having it come from a source that he's already inclined to assent with.
Right. So that's where it's going to be kind of weird because you need to establish yourself as the parent.
Authority.
But in B's case, that's going to be parent. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to establish that sort of dynamic, and it's not, you're going to have a harder time doing that if somebody else delivers that. But you need somebody else for him to listen. So what I'm saying is you need to say it. It needs to be backed up, and we need to understand Beast is not going to listen for a long time.
I wonder if I could dress up as a queen torchbee.
That would only incentivize bees to kill you.
No, shush. No, please do that thing. Don't take this from me.
That little aside was for Craig's benefit primarily.
Like
is Till wearing a Queen Torchbee outfit, going buzz 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 buzz. Buzz 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 buzz.
Usurper!
So yeah, you need to deliver it, I think. I mean, this is how I see, like, not my dad, like my mom deal with this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be the one. Somebody else is probably going to have to back you up because, like, when mom would try to say things to, like, my half siblings, there's always a lot of "you're not my real," that kind of thing.
Right.
And then somebody who that they do view as
I'm in a tank. You're not my dad. Yes,
dad
absolutely.
Needs to come in and say, no, that's fine. And then we need to understand it's going to be tested a lot, which means you are you will 100% not obey multiple times.
That's a valid element that I had not previously considered.
Like, no matter how this is delivered, B is going to continue to do stuff
Right.
until it's reinforced enough.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you can't ground him.
Difficult to do when they're sort of a distributed entity.
So, and we're also going to
Right.
have to deal with all of that aspect of it too.
For sure. Pivoting slightly, what the fuck is up with Surprise? Why are they here?
I mean, is there a problem?
Not necessarily. Just... are they here because they're your friend and are operating on a similar pattern? Are they here because we're trying to vet them and see if they want to join our adventuring company? Are we...
Kind of yes to
Okay.
all of that.
All right. Just wanted to make sure I was operating on the right...
No. So we ran across them,
Right.
and
Just wasn't sure if they were like particularly Xander's friend or...
no, Xander found them, and then we met them, and they're awesome.
Okay.
So now they're with us.
All right. Well.
And in her mind, it's just that simple.
Right, yeah. for
Clear
sure,
on
for
the
sure.
face. I like you, you're coming with me.
All right.
You've been added.
With a collection.
Correct.
Right. Drunk girl in the bathroom, social dynamics.
Uh-huh.
effectively. Right, yeah. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, oh, so it's always that way for Kendall. Okay.
Every social interaction Kindle has is based off of drunk girl in a bathroom dynamics.
All right.
Which is funny because that's true for Surprise too.
Matches.
Why they click?
Well, at some point then, yeah, Till's going to call a meeting for everybody but bees.
Are you not gonna?
No, this is going to be the initial, right, because we're going to have a discussion without bees first, and then a discussion with bees.
Clarification for everyone except for bees. Is that also including Surprise?
That's actually a good point.
Who has known bees for all of a day?
Surprise would not be specifically invited, no.
Also, how
But-
do you not include bees? Who is
Okay, no, I got this.
mentioned?
Right.
Then Mistle will go talk to Surprise. Be like, hey, I need you to distract bees. However you can possibly do that without bringing harm to you, bees, or the ship.
Is there a small vehicle
No,
anywhere on the ship?
no.
Bees does have a tiny ship that Coltar made for them.
I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Okay,
Mhm.
yes.
It's like a Power Wheels.
Hot.
Yes.
Okay.
I made bees the equivalent of like a Lego constructor like vehicle, basically.
Right.
I need you to bond with bees. Keep them happy until I have to come get them. Okay?
Got it.
Thank you.
Hey Jack, let's get weird.
What Surprise sees how small the ship that Vista was talking about is, we're gonna go on a hunt for any kind of like an escape pod that can be piloted.
I will also point out
The next largest vehicle would be the Dust Runner in the engineering bay.
But that's not, I don't know if that's officially operable
Yeah, that's not
at this point
not
yet.
operable yet. Yeah.
still a vehicle. Just wanted
Right.
to put it out there.
Yeah.
I will also point out it is Lego sized. Essentially, in each compartment in the ship, there is a single torch bee.
Right.
Horrible.
Imagine the Serenity, but scaled down so that it
Or
could be run entirely.
singular bees.
Right, yeah, by individual bees. Yep.
And they're all just sort of in a bee version of Charlie Day going, spaceship!
It is functional, I will say. Like it's a functional little space toy.
Oh yeah,
so-
no, it can like fly around the interior of the Golden Volkier. Yep.
Those bees are the pilot bees.
But yeah, no. Honestly, the meeting will probably take place on the bridge,
Door closed.
right? So this is something that I wanted to bring up to everybody, and I'll assume Jazeera and Shree and Xander are here as well.
Presumably.
With B's current level of mental maturity, I do not feel ethically justified in having them in combat circumstances. And given the nature of their being and the development of their psyche as it stands right now, while they sort of defy many traditional types of classification, they are effectively, when you put them in combat, that's a child soldier from a pragmatic standpoint, at least as far as I can see it. That being the case, as the leader of the Dust Knights, I can't assent to that sort of employment. And my initial reaction would be to try and give them as good a childhood as you can, but not to put them in any sort of combat confrontations until they are demonstrably no longer a child. We'll take some resources, and while I still want to make sure that they're able to participate as much as possible, whether that's learning about comms work or other things that are not combat hazard levels of deployment, that is my intent for bees as their role as part of the Dust Knights going forward, until such a time as their development warrants a reevaluation. So as your leader, that's what I'm putting on the table right now. I would like to hear anybody's opinions on it, should they have comments, questions, concerns, anything of that sort. I don't treat this as a decision to be made lightly, and I would like as much community support for Bees' safety and development as possible going forward. Thoughts?
Coltarn is initially quiet to see if the NPCs have something to say.
Okay.
Because that's the way Coltarn rolls. Thinks and then talks.
Strida sort of shrugs her shoulders and goes, I find that development is something that happens in many different ways. In many ways, I would be considered a child, in all forms but combat, as combat was my raising. I have little in the way of social experience or true academic knowledge. I only have what I was taught in a temple devoted to deadlock for the years of my youth. I would argue that I am a soldier who, in other situations, might be considered a child. I don't think you can even begin to take me off the battlefield.
Understandable.
Does Jazeera or Xander seem to have anything to say either?
Just
Told
Zira
you.
and Xander are just sort
He
of like
thinks.
waiting.
Bees was
Um,
Bees was not raised on a battlefield or in combat.
Well, except effectively he was. Goldarn says, interjecting. Bees is a colony of torch bees that have known violence and chaos fundamentally as their primary method of survival for the entire history of the colony's life. I challenge the idea that they would be considered a child soldier on the fundamental basis that you're applying definitions that apply to that can be applied to some species but cannot be applied to others. How many generations of torch bees have lived and died just while the suit has been moving around? And then it's a definition that changes from culture to species, trying to apply it broadly across the board seems inefficient. Just as an example, I'm 20 years old. I was raised by dwarves. If they used their definitions of what a child was, I would still be being reared, as it were. If you catch my drift.
I think Till is talking more in a mental capacity for bees.
The emotional
Certainly.
aid.
Yes.
There's a certain lack of what would be considered mental and emotional maturity from any other sapient species, or most other sapient species, but bees is not most other sapient species. They are a colony of torch bees. I would feel... Let me pause this for a second. Applying the definition as you have presented it to bees is fundamentally stripping them of their identity and personhood, and rendering their experiences as a colony invalid by your personal experiences and definition. You're not actually taking into account that they are a colony of torch bees. You're treating them like they're an orc, an elf, a human, when they're not. There's a fundamental difference there, including how they might learn. How would you educate a colony of torch bees when one generation will die before the next one comes into your process? You're going to re-educate them every few days, every week. How long would their agency be removed?
But
when would you define them as being mature?
they've objectively learned stuff
They have.
without having to teach it to them every few days. So
Absolutely.
they're capable
And
of learning
there are
that.
other things that they never learn.
Well, you can't say that they'll never learn it. We don't know that for sure yet.
Certainly
Bees
not.
is a unique
Exactly.
entity. I will not argue that at all.
I would not object to insisting on some level of societal education. If you're going to be a part of a society, learning about the society and how to interface with it is an important aspect. But removing them from the ability to defend themselves or to assist us in combat or anything of the like simply because they don't fit your criteria of not a child soldier when they've been fighting for survival their entire existence seems odd to me, much like you would not remove Stardust's agency. Or mine.
Valid points. Absolutely. The difference or distinction, as I would see it, is that by their own report and admission, Bees has been sapient, for lack of a better word, for a very short time. And based on their memory and recounting of past, They functioned on the level of an animal intelligence and were genuinely a naturally occurring animal species. But the acquisition of the sapiens functioned, from a practical standpoint, as a birth of sorts for the mind that inhabits that armor and hive.
Certainly.
That mind is, by the last months or so of observation, persistent. Like was said, it doesn't seem to, by any outside perspective, and any decision that is made here, by the way, is subject to further information coming out that would inform things in the future. I don't want anybody to think that we're making a unilateral choice here and that's the way it's just going to be no matter what happens. But as an individual with sapience, we are all, I believe, naturally capable of recognizing the level of sapience in something that is able to communicate with us, like Bees is able to.
Absolutely.
And given their reactions to things, they are very much a new and developing mind.
If you were, for instance, to discover a new planet with a new species, pre-spacefaring, they would have many of the same reactions that Bees has to spacefaring cultures. Would you infantilize the entire the entire planet and not let them leave their room until they had done all their homework?
That metaphor implies that there's a... I'm sorry, Mistel, go ahead.
I'm gonna strongly disagree with that metaphor because that was my planet, like when I was a small child before I was taken.
Also, it's like it's different because Bees is choosing to come and be part of the bigger world. Like, it's not just one society.
And a society has an infrastructure and a support system. Bees has no home society. There aren't other Beeses around who have learned through trial and error. Yes, there are absolutely cultures where the young are exposed to violence via combat, hunting, whatever it is. And those cultures have managed to come up with systems to make sure that development is handled, hopefully safely. Otherwise, you have a number of traumatized adults in every generation. We don't have any of that access with Bees, and while you may disagree with me philosophically, I simply can't. I have thought about this in as many ways as I possibly can, and this is a risk that I am unwilling to take while in a leadership position here. That's really what it boils down to for me.
I don't disagree with the idea of social education. I don't disagree with the idea of educating Bees with the world around them that they are entering with and interacting with. What I disagree with is removing their agency from participating in dangerous situations that they've been participating in this whole time because it makes you feel better. That is more about your personal stances than about their agency and their well-being.
Bees, unfortunately, does not possess the knowledge to be able to adequately communicate or likely even analyze whether what they are engaging in is healthy for their psyche. The main reason most societies shelter their young from the more extreme elements of violence is because the mind is not prepared or sophisticated or resilient enough to deal with the trauma inherent in a violent situation.
Certainly.
Peril and fear and that sort of thing. We have already seen bees react negatively to those sort of things. We're just doing the best with what we have.
Oh, certainly. As one of the people who's been on the receiving end of those particular reactions, I understand.
That is true.
But it is also not for us, because none of us are experts in the field, to make those decisions for them.
Then who would be making those
don't.
decisions for them?
I honestly don't know.
Who's here right now? So if the decision has to be made by us, because there's no one else to make it.
Quite frankly, it sounds like I'm outvoted in the first place. I'm simply voicing my disagreement, because it's not going to largely affect the outcome, it doesn't feel. But I would suggest that couching it less as you are a child, let go of those weapons, and more of it that you let go of those weapons that you form with your own colony.
Your own body, right.
And more, you very clearly need to have some education on how the society around you works. We would like to provide that to you, rather than you're grounded.
Absolutely. Well, and that is, I apologize if I didn't properly communicate the sort of emotional impetus behind this. That is my main concern here, is bees' health and well-being, not that they listen to my particular philosophy on when one is prepared enough to encounter violence, but that they are given the opportunity to develop as much as possible in a safe environment before being exposed to potentially unnecessary stresses and learning how to compensate for things in those environments. And at the end of the day, I still want, as much as bees is interested in being, bees to be involved in what we do here. There are ways that bees can contribute to the Dust Knights that don't rely on them putting themselves in harm's way and inflicting violence on violent things. And I feel that that would be a safer decision. I'm not necessarily saying this is the only right or moral decision aside from my own personal grasp of my own ethics, but that this is the less risky and probably healthier option for bees' development. There's a lot going on with this. I'm sure you understand that there's a number of complicated
It's
questions.
a complicated subject, yes.
Explaining it to bees is going to be a nightmare.
Yes. Well, my plan is hopefully, if everyone being made aware, bees obviously would be the next person to, unless everyone has decided you're absolutely shitting ideas out your cloaca and you shouldn't be in charge anymore, which I absolutely would not fault you all for arriving at that conclusion.
Is this you trying to get out of being the leader?
I'm simply saying that when one is a leader, it really helps if they have the trust of the people that they're trying to lead as they're in that position, rather than imposing that on people who would really rather be following somebody different. And yes, maybe a little. All right. Does anybody have anything else before we go try and convince our youngest member that they'd be better off behind a comm station, at least for the time being?
Do you have any idea on the hows of this educational program?
Yeah, I don't like just sticking them behind a comm station.
No.
They need to be able to go and do things and contribute, because they're not going to agree to that.
As far as that goes, I think that the assignments of those of us that have things that we can teach to bees should devote at least a couple hours per cycle to trying to do so if they're interested. Things like equipment maintenance, mechanical repairs, navigation. Bees love stars and light and things like that. We have any number of stellar cartography duties. By all means. All right.
If I might make a suggestion, I am currently creating a helmet for bees that will allow their suit to function more like a protective environment suit. I could install Tollbar in there as an educational and entertainment suite that would allow them to access a variety of media at their whim that might help educate them further in a way that allows them to travel with us and be experiencing the process at the same time so that they don't have to be left on the ship.
Potentially.
I like that idea.
That's not a bad idea.
You
I
got
presume...
games on your tow bar?
Parental controls enabled on the Tollbar.
I was going to say, yeah, right. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that would be Till's only concern is will they be advertised to through kids' YouTube, and will they be able to make purchases on the internet?
No and no.
Coltarn is mid-battle, and just immediately, like, Coltarn's visual, like, input is taken up by a pop-up screen that is like, Bees has requested additional time.
Bees has requested to download Raid Shadow Legends on
Decline.
All right, now we have to take it away.
Wait. Okay,
You
I got
lost your
him.
toll bar privilege.
Raid! Since I am an insect.
Yes, no, all of that sounds fantastic. And any sort of basic societal primary educational suite.
I'm so
Especially
excited.
as far as galactic society and everything is concerned. Get them bees a tutor.
I'm so excited for Bees to learn about the galaxy through a dwarf.
Right?
A week later, Bees is talking with a heavy Scottish brogue exclusively. You don't know how they're doing it, but they are.
in any event on that, Xander says, speaking up, I've seen your progress in that helmet. It's going to take some more time. I don't think we're going to be pulling that off in the time that we're dealing with this ghost ship. They may, at the very least, need to hang back for a bit on this mission.
They're very perceptive when they want to be. Do you mind having them run co-pilot with you on scanners while we're...
Yeah, I can stay here and have them work scanning machine with me. And
all right,
run some detail work.
Excellent.
You're so useful.
On that note as well, I think Surprise is probably going to want to come and poke around at ghost ships. I'm going to talk to... I'd never got Surprise's pronouns. How to...
She, they, Xander says.
Thank you. All right. But yeah, see if she wants to come with us on the ghost ship, and if they're interested, we can treat it as sort of a tryouts run if they seem inclined to try and join the Dust Knights themselves. We're supposedly going to invade a demon dimension. I wouldn't mind another couple bodies. What do the rest of you think?
I would suggest not putting it quite like that. You really need to work on your recruitment poster talk.
All right. Noted.
Yeah, make it sound like we need them, we want them here.
Then feel free to go tell them that.
Okay.
Excellent.
I
All
have
right.
to get bees anyway.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening to my pontifications over this whole thing, and I look forward to what we can scavenge off this derelict fleet.
Why did I think you were going to say TED Talk?
I was trying to figure out how to make a bird pun out of TED Talk.
Yeah.
Now, should I
TED Squawk?
bring bees back in here?
Thank you for coming to my TED Squawk.
Yes. Let's
Okay.
let them know.
Great. Bees, what have you most wanted to be enabled to do on this ship? Because surprise is nothing if not an enabler.
Such
Boy,
a
I
bad
got very
idea.
talk.
Go on salvage operations on ghost ships. No, just kidding. Pilot anything really. Bees is very, very focused in on piloting either the ship or the Dust Runner.
Or the hover truck that they've got.
Literally anything. Bees just wants to drive something other than their tiny spaceship. They are driving it around going like, I'm a bee, I'm a bee, I'm a bee.
We're definitely fussing with the Dust Runner when
Yes. Bees is down there like and then Coltarn comes in and does this. And then sometimes when it doesn't work, Coltarn does this. And Bees will attempt to imitate like Dwarven swearing, assuming Coltarn swears in Dwarven.
Coltarn swears in both Dwarven and Orcish.
Mallet, because that's the kind of chaos energy that fixes things, right?
Listen.
Yeah. So an 11 on a tech check while Bees is trying to demonstrate how to fix the Dust Runner. So up to you, Shawnee, how that works out.
You've largely emulated more of the frustration responses that Coltarn has when repairs are going poorly, which is swearing in Orcish and or Dwarven and kicking the thing.
So the bees are sort of buzzing around.
I really want to know, because Coltarn wears like a powered exosuit most of the time, so he can kick things a lot harder than most people can. I really want to know what happens when Surprise kicks the Dust Runner.
Surprise foot squishes.
Yeah, it's made of cloth. It goes.
Imagine a teddy bear kicking a car.
Does it make like a squeaking noise?
I can't imagine anything else now.
Absolutely violent.
Just a 5-foot teddy bear kicking a car.
Yeah.
Bees?
Oh, hey!
Hi.
Hi, Miss Dawn.
We, meaning the rest of us, we all need to talk to you.
I would like to make an insight check at that, please.
Yeah, Miss still doesn't know how to approach this.
-1. Bees is I mean a natural 1, so a total of 6.
I would also like to make an insight check.
Oh, did you all decide we get to drive?
No.
Yay!
No, Bees said no.
What?
So with a 23 surprise, you've heard like serious important conversations happen around you before. It's always kind of awkward for you to be around them. But you have the feeling that that's one of the things that's coming up.
Oh, and Surprise, I need
but I'm stuck on their ship, so I want to see what their serious important conversations are.
Yep.
Because I can't leave. There's no escape pods on this.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna lift my hand under the mini spaceship to encourage it to land, so that I can insinuate myself into this conversation right here.
Bees, can you go ahead just for a second? I want to talk to Surprise real quickly, and then we will be right there. Okay?
Oh no, we're crashing! Bees will slam the spaceship down into Surprise's hands.
Surprise looks flabbergasted, but not upset.
Does Bees go ahead?
And leave?
Yeah.
Bees sort of waits a little bit. And how is Mistel looking at Bees?
Oh, like a child would look at a puppy that she had to rehome.
May I make another insight check? Is this different enough?
Say sure.
All right, 19 that time.
I feel like this is something serious and important, Bees.
You are a puppy. No. Yeah, Mistel is like, she's not sad Mistel. which you're used to when you're looking for her family, but she's not happy, Mistle.
Oh, what
He's
blew up?
serious Mistle.
Nothing, bees, but
Okay,
please, if you just go to where the
Why?
others are,
why?
because we all need to have a talk,
Why?
okay?
Why?
We will explain everything in there, okay?
Okay, explain. Okay, but we're all going, right?
We are. I really just need a quick minute with Surprise. That's it.
Okay,
Okay.
we can wait.
No. I would rather you just go in there first. This will only take a second, okay? Please.
Is it about us?
No, this is not about you.
Is it interesting?
Probably not to you.
Okay, Bees leaves.
Okay. Okay. Surprise.
Yeah.
Would yeah, stuff is gonna happen really soon, but we'll deal with that in a minute. Would you like to join us going forward on our missions and be helpful? And
Y'all are starting to sound really desperate. This is like the third time you've asked.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, first it was Coltarn, and then it was that bird guy, and now it's you.
Oh,
And, like, I'm
he's the
flattered.
one that told
I'm
me
flattered.
to come. I didn't know he sent you, or he told you.
Well, he asked if I was joining.
Oh, well, I was.
Mistle's like, in my defense, I was out of my gourd on Invar and Honey last week.
Well, okay, I was supposed to do it in a very like cordial way and everything. So if they ask, can you just say that I was very like welcoming?
Oh,
And I
absolutely. You're
really-
always
okay.
very welcoming.
Okay,
I can just tell
awesome.
from looking at you. You're delightful.
Oh, thank you. Okay, now we have to go deal with some really serious stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, you're just bringing Surprise along. Got it. Okay.
Talking surprise
Surprise
with her.
wasn't going to wait.
You're one of us now. Come on.
Yep. No, legit.
Okay.
Surprise comes.
So
Surprise comes.
I am going to ask the players, because it is technically 11 minutes past our usual end time. Do we want to have this conversation now or save it for next week?
Save it for next week.
Save it for next
That's
week.
what I was thinking.
This
Top
would
of the
take up
morning
an
next week.
entire session.
Yeah,
I was gonna say 3 hours later.
Yeah. So we will pick up with that conversation.
Yeah.
Next
Like, I'm sorry, you're asking the only child if he wants to wait and have an entire session potentially devoted to conversation about his character. Yeah, I'm on board.
So we'll pick that up next week.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.